All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 512. Today is the 4th of September, 2024, and we have got a ton of questions. We're going to keep things short here in the intro. Going to say hello to the guys, and then we got a couple of quick announcements, and then we are going to jump into it and answer your questions. So, first things first, Chris, how you doing today?
Really good as usual. Busy, but also super excited because lots of stuff cooking, so quite happy. And temperatures are going down as well, so no longer the summer heat. So quite happy about that as well.
Very nice. Yeah, I've got it going a little cooler here too. I'm sure we'll have another bump before fall actually hits. But speaking of weather, how about you, Bradley? Are you still frying or are things cooling down for you a little bit?
No, it's beautiful here this week. It's 78 degrees right now. Like last week was a fucking stinker. It was awful, but this week is nice. And so it's that time of year where we're gonna have, like you said, peaks and valleys in temperature, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
is.
Well, cool. One of the announcements I know we wanted to cover was a webinar, Bradley, you're going to be doing with Samin on Monday. So you connected me and him, and I mean, I'm super interested in what he's doing, but obviously you're actually putting it into practice right now. Do you mind just sharing with people a little bit about that? I'm going to drop the link to the webinar so people can get into that.
Yeah, so AIanswer.us, that's the company that we hired to develop an AI app that does integrates with high level, but it's the first app that they or the first AI agent, as they call it, that they're developing or that they have developed for us is one that helps with the DHA sales process. In other words, it helps to book appointments, sales appointments between and takes over the conversation from when a cold contact or from our cold outreach or cold email outreach, when we get a reply back from a tree contractor, then the AI takes over and it sends a sequence of messages and replies back and forth and communicates essentially with the contractor and to tell them that we're going to be optimizing the directory listing and then sending to them for review. Then we ask them for so after we acknowledge the receipt of their reply to the cold email outreach. Then we send then the AI agent sends a message to them saying, okay, how far out do you go for your for jobs? Like, what is your service area essentially? They reply, then it replies back, says, okay, thanks. We're going to send you the listing for review as soon as it's finished, in the next 2 days or whatever it is the message says. And then once the VA is done processing the listing, so in other words, optimizing the listing, and they mark it in high level with the specific tag that then sends that back into the AI agent again to then do the delivery sequence to deliver the directory listing to the prospect. And at that point, it takes over to take it basically is pitching, addressing or identifying, problem agitates solution, right? That kind of framework. In the delivery message sequence, it tells them that, hey, listen, by the way, we identified an issue that's preventing you from getting the jobs in the areas that you stated that you claimed as your service area. We'd like to approach this, address this with you on a call to also review your directory listing. When's a good time for us to have a call? It basically books the appointment. And then so that's when then we get on the sales call, essentially. So the initial app or agent that we've had developed is it does SMS, email, inbound voice, and outbound voice. So it does all of that. And so it's basically allows us to be able to scale our prospecting and sales process a lot better because when it's done manually, we can only have one conversation at a time. You know what I mean? But this is simultaneously, it can be unlimited amount of conversations. And so it just basically what the AI agent does for the DHA agency or the directory agency, excuse me, is it helps to book sales calls so that we don't have to have any direct manual communication with the contractor until they agreed to get on a call with us. So that's what we've been developing. We're also going to have another app developed specifically for tree service contractors, which can then be modified for other industries as well, but can book appointments like estimate or quote request appointments and things like that, and job appointments and all of that. So that's the next app that their agent, I should say, that they're developing for us. But currently it's just the directory sales process that we've developed an agent for. But it's super powerful technology that this company does really good at automating everything within high level too, which is phenomenal. Because that was one of the things like, I spent a lot of money, invest a lot of money into AI chatbot training and stuff. Zappy Chat Some of you guys are probably familiar with that. Also, Dan Wardrobe's Roya, which is rent out your Android. That's the sales Android thing that he does. I purchased all that stuff. And Cecilia, one of our group members, you guys all know her from Hump Day Hangouts, she was working on developing it for us. But then Cecilia came to me, I don't know, 3 months ago now and said, hey, we got another company. I found a company that does all of this development and it integrates with high level. And Cecilia is absolutely capable of being able to figure it all out and do it for us. And she developed an app that actually booked some fucking appointments for tree contractors when it was just a test and we didn't know that it was in a live environment and it worked. But it would have been a lot longer to get it integrated into our agency if she was the one developing it. So this company, this is all they do is develop AI agents that integrates with high levels. So it's just a lot faster to get it produced and all that. So it wasn't cheap, but I think it's very, very powerful and it's going to replace the need for the call centers that I've been using for 10 years with tree contractors, which is real people that answer, like I use Answer Connect, have been for over 10 years now, but this will replace that. So the development cost is higher, but the running costs are lower than having like an answering service. So I plan on really having this developed into the DHA programs fully, but we wanted to be able to also just promote this company and their services to our audience because a lot of you could probably benefit from it.
Outstanding. Thanks, Bradley. I posted the link and I will do a better job. I realize too, I think can be confusing for people afterwards. So I'll try to post it as a comment afterwards. But also, let's see, that is about it for now. If you're watching this later and you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the Semantic Mastery channel, get the updates and notifications, and be sure to go to semanticmastery.com/HDHO. We're live every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. But if you can't ask or be here live, we understand that. You can't be here every single week, but you can still go to semanticmastery.com/HDHO, and there is a link there to watch previous episodes, ask questions ahead of time, ask AI Bradley questions, as well as some free goodies on there. So with that said, I think we're ready to get into it.
Yeah, we are. And like I said, we got a shit ton of questions. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I'm going to try to roll through these guys rapid fire. I know I'm not very good at that, but I'm going to try anyway. So start pounding through these as quickly as possible. So, Huzefa, again, I know I butchered your name. I apologize. He's got a shit ton of questions again. And, again, I appreciate the questions. They're good questions. So I'm going to try to roll through them, guys, as quickly as I can. So first one is, would you be okay with doing a quick look through of the viewer's site here on Hump Day Hangout YouTube live stream if he or she is okay with it? Yeah, sure. No problem at all. I mean, I'll take a look at it. Just keep in mind that in a live setting, it's difficult to analyze the site properly because it takes time and there'd be a lot of silence while I'm looking at things. And that's not, very conducive to an audience. That's why I prefer to have you, if you wanted me to review it, send it to me ahead of time so that I could review it and then prepare my statements so that you guys aren't on a live webinar watching me research shit. You understand? That's not a very efficient use of my time or anybody else's that's watching. So I don't mind reviewing something like that briefly as part of a Hump Day Hangout, but I would want to see the site ahead of time so that I could prepare my critiques or my analysis of it prior to the webinar so that I'm not wasting people's time while I'm trying to research it. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not something, again, in a live setting, put somebody on the spot. It's difficult to be efficient while trying to look at things. It's going to be a lot of dead silence and stuff. It's just awkward for a live webinar to do that. So I would prefer it if you send it to me ahead of time. Okay. Thoughts on cold emailing to get SEO clients? That's precisely what I've been doing for 4 years. For 4 years now, for my own local SEO agency, as well as Semantic Links, where we do cold emailing to target local SEO agencies or local marketing agencies. I've been growing my agencies, plural, with cold email for the last 4 years, almost 100% exclusively with cold email. So anybody that says cold email doesn't work doesn't know what they're talking about. It works. That's how I have been growing all of my businesses, is that way. Cold email. It works like gangbusters when done properly. James says, what do you recommend is the best use of time for building links to Google properties, Google Calendar stacks, or HTML files? So cloud pages and S3, Azure, Cloudflare, etc. Google Calendar stacks are fast because of the repeating event feature, but do they still move the needle? I don't know, because I don't do a lot of link building myself other than, relevant links from the blogs and stuff that we create based upon pure relevance. So I don't build stuff with tools. Yax is the only tool that I use for building cloud stacks or cloud pages. And I don't really do cloud stacks the way that the way that Jesper teaches. I do cloud pages and then build semantic links. So links with relevance to the cloud pages. Google Calendar stacks, as far as I know, they still move the needle. I just don't build them myself. If you have an app like Staxio or Backlink Factory or something like that, that does that kind of stuff, and you have the desire and the time to work with those kind of tools. I have no desire to do that, by the way. But if you do, then I would test with them for sure. Because from what I understand, they still work. Absolutely. It's a Google property. Anytime you can manipulate or use Google properties to manipulate Google, you should, in my opinion. I don't do them, so I don't know. I do cloud pages for sure, and then we use Yax. And for like all my link building clients or all my own local SEO clients, we do an ID page, which is hosted in Amazon S3, which is it's just a cloud page, but it's a dedicated ID page. And then we also do 3 cloud pages as well on Azure, Wasabi, DigitalOcean, etc. And so, but then, like I said, I don't do cloud stacks like what are traditional cloud stacks. I do cloud page as a tier 1 link. And then I build tier 2 topical or geographic links, what I call semantic links, to the cloud page. That makes sense. But yeah, I can't give you a good answer on that, James, because I don't do link building tools and things like that. I just don't do them. We do all of our link building manually, and except for Yax, really, which even that's manual. We still got to build the cloud pages. It just kind of automates the deployment process, really. So I can't really give you a good answer on that because that's not the type of link building I do. As far as I know, it still works though. The next question, the site architecture that you recommend, is that just for local service area businesses like plumbers and tree services, or for any local service, example, SEO agency or a dental clinic? Yeah, no, it'll work. It can be modified. Now, I've spent most of my local SEO career in service area or working with service area businesses, because that's the background I come from. I remember I learned how to do lead generation and how to manipulate Google, how to do local SEO for my own contracting business. I was an electrical contractor, and I learned how to generate leads for my own business. That's how I started down the path of local SEO. And so I've always spent my entire career, 15 years now, I've been doing local SEO. And I spent most of my career working with service area businesses, primarily home service contractors, in various industries, but primarily, I mean, and also other industries too. But what I found is I've always preferred to work with contractors. And so this model, though, can be modified to storefront businesses. I mean, like let's say for an attorney, for example, like I just did an audit yesterday for a law firm that's in New Jersey, and it's a storefront business. It's a law firm. It's a public street address. Clients come to the law office in order to, have consultations and all that kind of stuff. But it's an attorney firm, a law firm, so they obviously want to cover as much area as they can in the state of New Jersey, and so they have supporting location pages. Can that work for a storefront business? Yeah, certainly can. So the site template and structure that I've been teaching is about getting organic rankings and in maps rankings as well. It can influence map rankings to a degree. You can only push maps coverage areas so far, though. There's a number of variables that determine how far that is. Competition, how many competitors are in the same general area, population, all of that kind of stuff, population density, really. All of that can affect or influence how far out you can expand, top rankings in the top 3, I mean, for a Google business profile in map search. And there's a number of variables that determine how far out that could be. And even if you can push a map into an area where Google really doesn't want it to go, it's fleeting. In other words, and I tell this to clients all the time, like, we'll try to expand the proximity with which the GBP will rank in the top 3 results as far as possible. But at some point, we're going to find out where like the invisible barrier is that Google just does not want to allow it to rank in the top 3 beyond that point. And how do we determine that? Well, once we get to where the maps expansion stops to like 2 months or 3 months in a row where we've made no gains or just marginal gains, then that is pretty much the extent with which that particular GBP will rank. And again, there's a number of variables that determine that. So, but I always tell clients, like, look, we'll push it out as far as we can, doing the method that I teach, which is the, building supporting location pages and all that kind of stuff. That tries to, expand that maps coverage area as far as possible. But once we find where that kind of invisible barrier is, beyond that, it's futile to continue trying to push the map, because even if you get it to pop into like the next adjacent area, if go at every opportunity that Google can to push it back down out of the top 3, it will. And so it takes an enormous amount of work to keep it ranked if you can brute force it into an area where Google really doesn't want it to rank. So what I always tell my clients is, like, we'll push it out as far as we can. And once we find that kind of invisible barrier, discover where that is, then you pretty much have to focus in on organic ranking beyond that, or Google Ads, or possibly get another GBP that's in the next location over, which is very difficult to do as well. So to get back to what you're saying, they're asking about, can it work for storefront businesses? Yeah. But storefront businesses typically are going to have a narrow coverage area, a more narrow coverage area than a service area business does. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully that was clear. Next question. What do you do when your service doesn't specifically fall under any Google business category? For example, if service is SEO service, that falls under internet marketing service or marketing consultant. Yeah, as a Google business category, you're correct. But then making that the H1 SEO title, that would probably not be the correct approach. Well, this is a great question. Here's why. Okay. Let me give you guys an example. This is a quick, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we got a lot of questions. I don't want to, spell properly. I do want to demonstrate something here. This is what I teach in the mastermind all the time, guys. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this right now, but I want to kind of show you guys a couple of things. We also have, okay, so just take a look at something for a second. Digital marketing is the broad, this is the entity. Okay, this is the top of our entity for what we do as SEO and everything else. So as you can see, these are subtopics of digital marketing, guys. Search engine optimization, search engine marketing, PPC, basically search, search ads, PPC ads, social media marketing, content marketing. Something else though, just so you guys know, like internet marketing service, and I'm going to show you guys multiple entities here that are all very closely related. Okay, and this is how you can determine. And when I talk about topic and category optimization, I'm talking about optimizing for both topics and categories. What is the difference? A category, it's simple. It's a Google business category. That's what I mean when I talk about category optimization. I'm talking about optimizing for Google business categories. Google business categories were created from Wikipedia entities or topics. And so when I talk about topic and category optimization, I'm talking about optimizing for topics or entities. They're all entities, but I like to consider topics as organic optimization and categories as maps optimization. Does that make sense? And so you want to optimize for both topics and categories when it's a local project with a GBP. And so what I always try to do is figuring out the categories is easy because they're Google business categories. You can just go search for keywords associated with the industry and then append top level or big major metropolitan cities and just look at the top ranked competitors in any one of those cities and get their Google business categories. So category research is easy because you just go look at the top ranked competitors in competitive markets and look at their categories. And now you can get a list of the categories that are relevant. But then the topic research, so understanding how to optimize for it organically, that requires a little bit more effort. And it can be a little bit confusing at times. And that's why just spend more time looking at this kind of stuff and testing like what I've been teaching about forever. And even on Hump Day Hangouts, which used to be this type of training would only be for mastermind members, but I've been making it more public recently because even mastermind members don't apply it 95% of the time. So what difference does it make? I might as well share it. You know what I mean? But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is digital marketing is very broad. This is the broadest kind of entity or topic for SEO would be included in that. But there's these other things included in there as well. But I'm getting to a point here. And that would be, for an example, if we take a look at, say online advertising. That's Wikipedia right there. Okay, here's another entity. Okay. And what I'm going to point out here is how you can determine what is appropriate so that you can optimize for both top level topics and categories, which is what you want to do. Internet marketing service is the Google business category. That is correct. But internet marketing service, by the way, if you go back to digital marketing topic and you do a Control F and you type in internet marketing, watch what happens. Whoops. Again, if I can spell. Right here, the term digital marketing was coined in the 1990s. Digital marketing was formerly known as and referred to as online marketing or internet marketing or web marketing. So internet marketing, by the way, I've talked about this before, just like what is tree service, right? If we go look up service Wikipedia. Service has multiple meanings depending on which context it is used. In the context in which we would be talking about internet marketing service, which is internet marketing and service combined to create one category. That's what Google business categories are created from Wikipedia topics or entities, right? Internet marketing is synonymous with digital marketing. Service, in the context in which we were talking about internet marketing service, would be service economics. Service meaning is an act, service is an act or use for which a consumer company or government is willing to pay. So internet marketing service is digital marketing service, which means it's digital marketing, an act that somebody is willing to pay. That's the service, meaning that's as a company that provides digital marketing as a service or internet marketing as a service. That's why that's the Google business category. It's two entities or topics combined to create internet marketing service, which is synonymous with digital marketing service. Do you understand? And so, guys, when you understand how to do this type of research, you can learn what are interchangeable with those top level entity or topic terms, because Google understands this. Google in its database, it's, you know, its own kind of large language model, right? It understands these topics and entities. And so all we have to do is look for synonyms when we're trying to identify top level categories, or excuse me, topic terms, to help us optimize how the Google business, for what the Google business categories are that are relevant to that particular business. So internet marketing service is the same as digital marketing service. And then if you look at online advertising as a kind of a tangential topic, online advertising, also known as online marketing, internet advertising, digital advertising, and web advertising, right? Then you also have the other subtopics of digital marketing, such as search engine optimization. Search engine optimization, this is a subtopic of digital marketing. Okay, so search engine optimization is its own thing. Search engine marketing, which is PPC, pay-per-click, right? PPC, these are subtopics. So the point that I'm trying to make is if I was going to be optimizing for a agency site, I would probably list digital marketing in the SEO title and then internet marketing service in one of the top level headings, which would either be an H1, which is the page or post title, right? The SEO title or meta title is the document title. That's the top, all document title, SEO title, meta title, those are all interchangeable. They mean the same thing. H1 is the page or post title. Then you have headings, which are H2s, and then you have subheadings, H3s, 4s, 5s, etc. Right? And so what I would do is I would optimize for the top level topic or category term in the SEO title. Then I would restate in the H1 the topic or category term, the other variant of it, or in one of the headings. So like, for example, I might say digital marketing and then, you know, city. So remember, I always talk about this in the SEO title, you should be speaking in semantic triplet format, subject, object, predicate, essentially who you are, what you do, where you do it. There's three entities referenced in that title or that SEO title, right? That is the brand entity, the product or service entity, and the location entity. And so if I'm going to optimize for, if my top level category for an SEO agency is internet marketing service, then what I'm going to do is probably have digital marketing plus city. So brand, digital marketing, city, right? Those are the three entities: brand, product, service, location. Then in the SEO title, or excuse me, the H1, so the page or post title, I would have a variant of that, right? So something like, you know, city's top digital marketing agency or digital marketing service or something like that, right? So it's restating the brand, or excuse me, the location entity and the product or service entity, but using a variant of it. And then I would have somewhere probably in the H2 that introduces the element block that then is going to link over to the location pages on the site, which is the structure that I've been teaching for 2 years now. The H2 would say something like internet marketing service area. Do you understand? So now we're getting that top level category term in one of the headings on the page that then says internet marketing service. That's the Google business category area. So it's service area kind of combined with internet marketing or internet marketing service, right? And then I would have the H3s that then link and list or list and link to, excuse me, every location page. Does that make sense? So there, like I said, guys, it's important. And by the way, there's another one for, there's also a local SEO. Just so you guys know, local SEO Wikipedia, right there. There's another entity for that, right? So search engine optimization is a subtopic of digital marketing. It's also its own standalone entity. Does that make sense? And then there's local SEO, as I just showed you, right? So again, I just did an audit for a digital marketing agency. I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week. It was recently. And so I went through all of this in that audit specifically. But also, like, look over here, guys. Like, you see part of a series on internet marketing, and you can see that these are related entities. Okay. Something else you can do is we'll go back to digital marketing. We go down to see also. You can find additional related entities here. One of our members of Semantic Mastery just showed me something that was freaking amazing that I was unaware of, that I'm going to share with you guys right now, that I thought was amazing. I'm just going to close all this down so I can make some room. But scroll back up to the top of a Wikipedia topic and click on tools. What links here? This was from Nalan, from one of our group members. This was amazing find, and I never knew about this until earlier this week. But click on tools from the entity, then you click to what links here, and then you click hide transclusions and hide links and click go. Look at this, guys. These are all terms that are synonymous. These are synonyms that are closely related to digital marketing. Does that make sense? So these are like, what do you call them? Semantically related terms, whatever. So these are all keywords or search, terms that you can use in link building for adding variance or variety to the pages so that you're not over optimizing one particular term. So again, that just really, really important to see, like, there's all these different things that we can do. Like, again, just go to online advertising Wikipedia. We click at this one. Again, look at see also. You can identify additional subtopics or closely related topics. And then again, back up at the top, you click on tools, what links here, hide transclusions, hide links, click go. And then boom, there's a whole other list of related terms that are all very closely related to this, because these are all redirected. These were Wikipedia pages that once existed, but then were consolidated and redirected to online advertising as the broader top level topic or entity. Does that make sense? Very, very powerful stuff. So anyway, it's a great question, but I got to move on. That's how I would do it. You optimize for both topics and categories. And sometimes the Google business categories aren't right. And by the way, guys, not every industry falls nicely into this model. It doesn't. There are certain industries where it's very difficult, like building restoration. So water damage restoration, fire damage restoration, smoke damage restoration, mold remediation, all of that. That's very difficult. That's a difficult industry to fit into this model. Okay. Another one is the We Buy Houses group, the quick turn real estate people. We buy houses, sell house fast, cash offer for house, those types of people. I used to do that myself. And so that again, very, very difficult to because there's not, real estate consultant is the best kind of Google business category for that, but there's not really any Wikipedia entities, not many anyways. There's a couple of them that, like, cash offer for house, cash offer right here. That's one of them. That's an entity. Another one is flipping, but if you look at flipping, it has a real negative connotation, although that's just Wikipedia's description of it. I think that's wrong. Flipping is not a negative thing. It's legal, done right. So anyways, there's a few of them. Like I said, there's a few industries where it's kind of difficult to squeeze into this model, and you have to play. And I can't give you anything but give you some framework as far as trying to, and then you have to go in and test to figure out what performs best based upon that. Some of the models, some of the industries, it fits very nicely. Other industries, a few of them where it's a lot more difficult. Moving on. Do you still stream on Twitch? No. Next question. Unlock, let's see. I thought Conversion Rocket did AI bound. I don't know. I'm going to move on. That's a YouTube question. Another one. Any tips on how to properly structure the location pages using the techniques mentioned in the video? For example, plumber, the service page, or New York, the location page mentioning plumbing services. Yeah, these are difficult to do, these YouTube questions, because I have to know the context in which the question was asked. So I'm going to skip that one just because we have too many others. So next one, is there a free way to track the Google Business Profile heat map rankings? I don't know of a free one because I've been using Bright Local search grid reports for over 10 years. So I have no idea. I've been paying for that service for over 10 years. If there is a free service, I don't know of it. You could probably search Google for, search like free local search grid reports, or I hate it when people call them heat maps. I really do. I hate that term. The local search grid reports, when people call them heat maps, I don't like that term, but you can search Google and see, are there free Google business heat map services or whatever? I don't know, whatever, just search. I can't give you any recommendations. I've been paying for my service for 10 years for Bright Local. Okay. Next one, I want to rank in the Google Maps pack for a high volume service plus state keyword. Really? Service plus state keyword? I mean, I'm sure there are some, but yeah, typically keywords, the higher search volume, much higher search volume is going to be keyword plus city. You'll see that keyword plus county or keyword plus state is very typically has significantly less search volume, and it's much harder to optimize for those, in my opinion, because it's so broad. Uh, Anyways, when your business is located in only one city within that state, can you optimize your GBP for that service plus state plus brand and expect to rank in the map pack for every city in that state? Is that possible or just crazy? No, it's not possible. I mean, it's not crazy. I can understand the desire and wanting and asking the question. It's a fair question, but can you do that? No. Google business profiles are hyper local, guys. It is now. Anybody that's been doing this for long, you guys know that you used to be able to rank a Google business profile in maps across a huge area. And over the last 2.5 or 3 years, Google continually narrows it. It's like searches are going more and more hyper local. And so that's why I said earlier in the earlier question when I talk about trying to expand the maps coverage area from where the Google business profile is physically located. You start there. You always start there. Where is the GBP physically located? Start there and start pushing out the map coverage area as far as possible from that center point where it's registered. And then you'll find at some point you're going to find where it doesn't want to rank in maps anymore, in the top 3, I mean. And again, you can do things to push it beyond that. But once you get to a point where you put in a lot of effort in and you get only tiny marginal gains or no gains at all, that's where after doing 2 or 3 months in a row of consistent effort and not really achieving any more expansion, that's when I say, okay, we found it. We found the kind of invisible barrier. It's time to move on. Now you can rank organically statewide, but you're not going to rank in maps beyond what Google has determined is the appropriate ranking area for a Google business profile in that industry, depending on where it is physically located. Because again, there's a number of variables that determine how, if you're in a rural area, then you can get huge coverage. If you're in a very densely populated area, it's going to be a hell of a lot more narrow. And it also, again, relates that part of it is how many other companies are there in the same area. The more companies, the less coverage area you're going to get, if that makes sense. Okay, moving on. When geotagging posts in GBP, do we need to create multiple posts referencing one neighborhood, street, region, or multiple posts with each referencing multiple neighborhoods, streets, and regions? No, I would do one post per. So you do what I talk about is doing variants of the products or service keywords, the product or service keywords for whatever the business is provides, excuse me. And then when you're doing Google business posts or review replies, to try to insert variants of the products or service terms, and then also location mentions. You want to mention locations. And so that could be cities or towns, areas or districts or boroughs within cities and towns, neighborhoods, if it's commercial type of work, like shopping centers, apartment complexes, things like that. You can even mention street names. You don't want to reveal like a client or a customer's street, like their physical address, but you can even reference street names in review posts, review replies, excuse me, or GB posts. And doing that consistently over time, it helps Google to validate like where you have defined as the service area for the business. So that's why I always recommend for clients that they should take photos and or videos out in the field for service area businesses. They should have their technicians, they should train them. Most of them don't do this, no matter how much it would help them. Most of them just don't do this. But, you know, I tell like tree guys, when you go out on a job, snap 3 to 5 photos from your phone and just upload it directly to Google Maps. You don't have to go in as a brute manager or whatever, but the geodata that is in the photo or the video is going to help influence Google. It helps to train Google to validate or confirm that that company does indeed provide services, those products or services in those areas that they claimed was in their service area in their GBP, right? So doing photos or videos, also Google business posts and review replies, where you mention the locations and variations of that, not just the city or town names, but neighborhoods, street names, shopping centers, things like that. That helps to add more relevance to the GBP so that when, imagine this, a consumer is in a neighborhood and they search for tree removal near me. And one of my tree contractors had done a job in that neighborhood earlier that year. Okay. And he uploaded 2 or 3 photos that he took on that job in that same neighborhood to the Google business profile. He just uploaded them through Google Maps, not through the manager or anything else. Then he did a post where he grabbed one of those photos and did a post using that photo talking about, we just did a some tree service work in Covington Corner neighborhood. We had a 30-foot tree that needed to come down because it was dying. We took it down in 3 hours and we cleaned up and blah, blah, blah. If you need tree services in Covington Corner neighborhood or whatever, contact company name, right? They do a post for that. Then they got a review from the customer in that neighborhood. And the customer said, hey, thanks to Joe's Tree Service for doing an outstanding job. I'll definitely use them again next time I need tree work. And then so the contractor goes in and replies, hey, thanks for the great review. We're so glad that you were happy with the tree removal job that we did. Next time you need tree care in Covington Corner, give us a call. We'll be happy to help you again. Something like that, right? So that's a quick review reply. Now there's 3 signals that GBP has: the photos and or videos that were uploaded from that neighborhood, the Google Business post that then uses that photo, one of those photos, and references that specific location and the service that was provided, and then a review reply that again references that. So another consumer later that year is in that neighborhood and they search tree removal near me. Do you think that that is going to make that GBP more likely to be given an impression? Because there is specific mentions of that particular location where, and Google knows where that searcher is. Of course, it's much more likely. Now, does that guarantee that GBP will rank when a searcher in that neighborhood does a search that was related? No, but it's much more likely. If it's not present at all, it's a lot less likely. Do you understand? And so what I've found is by doing that consistently, you can add a hell of a lot more relevance to the GBP so that it is given preference by Google when somebody in that area searches, because there's specific validating evidence within the GBP to prove that particular business does that service in that area. That makes sense. So anyways, you focus it in on, one service or services plus the location. That's how I do it. I've not tested with trying to cover multiple locations from one post. I don't think that would be as effective, but I've not tested that, so I don't know. Hopefully that's clear. Moving on. What to add to products in GBP? The services. I mean, if you have products available, like tree services can put products, tree service contractor can put stump grinding, tree removal, tree care, arborist consulting, etc. And for pricing, I just put varies or free estimate, something like that. But yeah, I mean, if you have products available, you can always add services as products too. And just put an optimized, an image that's relevant, all that kind of stuff. In the services section in GBP, Google automatically assigns us services. Yes, that's correct. Can you explain how that works and how to optimize services section in GBP? Yeah, I talk about this in my audits. Google is going to automatically append services that, well, number one, it has in its own database. Guys, services are applied based upon categories, Google business categories. So if you go into the services section of a GBP, guys, and you have multiple categories, you'll see that services are nested under categories. And so what I'm saying with services is Google automatically, based upon the website that the GBP is connected to, when Google crawls the site, that's why it's important to have the site optimized properly too. Google is going to pull in phrases or search queries that are present in the site and that are also present in its own database that it has already found to be common in those categories. That makes sense. And so Google is going to automatically apply a bunch of the services to the categories. And a lot of the times you'll see it's redundancy. It's the same service, just using variated terms, right? So like tree pruning service, tree trimming, tree trimming and pruning. You might see all of those listed under the tree service category. And so that's fine. I just leave them there because, I used to back in the day, I used to go back and kind of, when Google would suggest services, I would go in and delete them if they weren't 100% relevant, or if they were redundant, I would delete them. But then, especially once you have, you'll find that Google will end up automatically suggesting or appending, modifying them anyways at some point down the road. And then you have to go back and do it again. And so finally I gave up. I said, I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm just going to leave it. What I recommend though, is that for any services that are important enough to have a dedicated page on the self-hosted site, that you make sure that service title, that service name is listed as a service in the appropriate category in the Google Business Profile with the same service title as it is listed on the main website. It doesn't matter if there's other variants that are redundant, duplicated, just variants of that same term. Leave those other ones there. But for any service that is important enough to have a page on the site, a dedicated page for on the site, have that same service name listed as a service in the GBP, and then optimize that description. It's only 300 characters. It's 2 to 3 sentences max. That's it. 300 characters max. So go in and optimize those. That way, it's a signal to Google that the GBP, those particular services with the same service name as the page on the site, has an optimized description where the others don't. So that signifies to Google that's an important page. And then when Google crawls the site, and the site has a dedicated page for that particular service. Do you understand? It makes those services stand out because in the Google Business Profile, because they have optimized descriptions, and then the self-hosted site provides agreement. Thank you, Ted Kubitis, for that term. But the self-hosted site provides agreement with how the GBP is optimized, and vice versa. That makes sense. So don't fight all those additional categories. What I do services. What I do recommend is if you add all the relevant categories, that you go in and order and arrange the services into the appropriate categories, and then leave all of the ones that Google suggests. Just optimize the specific ones that are titled to match the service pages on the site. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Moving on. Did you complete the testing on removing top sites and places to visit sections? No, I haven't even started that test yet. Next, my domain is 5 months old and I have really hard time getting pages crawled and indexed. I'm using AI content, but it's not fluff and spam. You said it yourself that site structure and headings are more important than content and local. I've even connected the indexing API services email to GSC, and then I see sites newer than mine and they have a ton of content index. Are these guys using indexers? Is naturally crawling and indexing just really slow now? Well, it depends. Depends on a number of things. By the way, there is the random ranking factor. Terry Kyle is the one that kind of coined that term a long time ago, RRF, random ranking factor. And I've talked about this before, but sometimes there's domains out there that have no penalty that's identifiable, but Google just doesn't like them. No kidding. This, again, just old school stuff. Terry Kyle was talking about this in like 2011, maybe 2012, sometime around there. But he used to do a test where before he was more of an affiliate guy, not a local SEO guy. He did like affiliate SEO and stuff. But I took what he was talking about when he did a long write up in traffic fire, or it was a big forum for SEO, traffic planet or whatever. Anyways, it was some big forum, and he did a huge write up on this, what he called random ranking factor. And he said before he would ever start an affiliate campaign, he would buy the same domain name with 5 different extensions. Whatever domain it was that he wanted to build on, he would just buy that domain name with 5 different extensions. And then he would place a WordPress site. Back then, that's pretty much what you did. But I would just put an HTML page on the domain now. But you put a WordPress site on each of those 5 domains, the same domain, just different extension. And he would optimize for some gibberish term or some made up keyword phrase or something like that. And he would optimize all 5 of them for the same term. And when I say optimize, literally just SEO title H1 and a paragraph of text, and it would be basically the same thing on all 5 sites. And he would submit them to Search Console and put them into a rank tracker. It didn't matter whether any of them ranked well or not. It was just specifically about putting all 5 in, all optimized for the same made up term or search phrase or keyword phrase or whatever that wasn't anything of importance with any competition. And he would put that into a rank tracker in a Search Console, and then look after about a month, just let it sit, make sure it's indexed. And once it's indexed, just let it sit for a few weeks, and then see out of all 5 of those domains, which one ranked the highest. And it could be on page 8, but it doesn't matter. If one's on page 8 and the rest of them are on page 9 plus, now that's the domain to build on. Because for whatever reason, Google just likes some domains better than others. And so that's why he called it the random ranking factor. And so I used that method for a while for local SEO, where I would do the same thing. And I would just, before starting a new project, I would test a domain on multiple extensions. And so anyways, to get back to what I was saying, it could be a domain issue, right? It may be, don't know. It could be that there's, maybe there's redundancy, duplication. Maybe there's some technical SEO errors on the site. It's hard to tell without knowing what the domain is and doing some analysis on that. But you could always test that, because if you have a domain that's 5 months old and you're having a hard time getting it indexed, but you see newer sites that are coming up and getting indexed, why not clone the site, install it onto another domain and set it for indexing and just see what happens? Can you get the new site the new domain, the same site just cloned onto another domain. Does that index faster? Does it outrank the site that's 5 months old? Then they know there's something wrong with this domain, right? There's a number of ways to test it. It's going to require a little bit of testing. Adam, you popped in. Was there something you need?
Yeah, sorry, that was a trip down memory lane. I remember you, me, and Hernan did a test. Do you remember this? We
Yeah.
made 3 different sites for like limousine service or something to test this because
Yeah.
we were like, oh, this is amazing. Like it makes perfect sense. And sure enough, yeah, saw some differences.
Yep. There's no question. I did it with a plumbing contractor in Manassas, Virginia. And it was Golden Plumbing was the name of the company in Manassas, Virginia. And I did 5 different domains where it was goldenplumbing.com, .net, .org, .us, and something else. I can't remember what the other one was now. And for whatever reason, the .us was the one that ranked. So I built their site on the .us domain, and we were able to rank that one very, very quickly. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on. Do I need to start link building citations or Web 2.0s after my pages get indexed, or can I also start it before that? No, you can start it before that. You can start it before that. It won't hurt anything. Just don't be overly aggressive, that's all. Is there a good way to get entities, copy Wikipedia page and paste it in the Google NLP API, as they have a free text box that pulls in the entities and maybe use the relevant ones in the content? Yeah, you could also ask ChatGPT, I think, to extract the entities from a Wikipedia page. Like I said, guys, I literally do everything manually the way that I've been sharing with you guys on Hump Day Hangouts now for months. Like I just go to Wikipedia and look at stuff, and then that's why I do it in one industry, guys, because I wouldn't want to do that manually across dozens of industries. But I like to get a feel for how does Google understand these topics, and so by studying Wikipedia, it's a great way to do it because Google's large language model was influenced in large part by Wikipedia. That's clear. What is DHA again? Directory Hybrid Agency. Ton. It's the model of, it's a combination of, that's what's called a hybrid agency, using a directory as the linchpin of the business. It's creating a niche specific directory that you use for prospecting and sales. It's a marketing tool, conversation starter, and then you build lead gen assets to use as, again, a sales tool and also to generate revenue. And then you use those lead gen assets to sell also retainer-based services, hence the name hybrid agency, because it's a combination or a hybrid of lead generation and traditional retainer-based services. So anyway, moving on. Next, my site is sandboxed. It's 6 months old. I have all the LLPs built out, location landing pages. Okay, should I start building citations on Yelp, etc.? Because I haven't done any of that as I was waiting to get indexed. And is this the same one that's 5 months old that wasn't indexing? Like I said, before I would spend a lot more time on that, I would first try to verify if there's a problem with the domain that you're unaware of. Like I said, clone the site, put it onto another domain, set it for indexing, see what happens. Because if it indexes much quicker and you have a site that's months old that's not indexing, is probably a problem with the domain. You might not ever be able to confirm that without testing, unfortunately. But it seems to me there's an issue. Okay. Should I also start publishing blog posts for long tail, 0 volume question keywords? Again, guys, especially for local, I can only assume that because you see you have all the LLPs, that would be location landing pages, right? So that means it's a local project. Adding more content to a local site right now, guys, is not going to be helpful. It's not. Like, if you're having trouble indexing, adding more content that is likely going to be competing with other pages on the site already is not going to help it at all. Like again, guys, I can't stress this enough. I have seen more recently that pulling content off of local sites, reducing overall content on local sites, helps them to perform better in search. Matt Diggity just did a fucking video about it on his channel just in the last week. Cecilia, one of our members, I think she's probably in chat. I haven't even looked at chat yet. Sent it to me, and it's in shit. I'll show it to you. It's in Circle. Where did right here? This is it right here, guys. I'll put it in chat. This is Matt Diggity talking about content pruning to resolve helpful content update issues that have been occurring. And I've been talking about this for months. He just published this 7 days ago, this video 7 days ago. I've been talking about this for months in the mastermind about going in and looking at Search Console and sorting for local sites, because that's all I do. It's local. Looking at the Search Console data, sorting by impressions and average ranking position and click-through rate, right? You've got those 3 different data sets. and sorting by impressions and looking to see if there never gets any click through, but pages are getting a high amount of impressions, prune that site, that page from the site. And what I've been doing through a lot of local projects lately for clients that we blogged for years on some of my client sites, we're going in and deleting most of the fucking post to where we're keeping it down to just the essence, the primary pages on the site, and seeing significant performance gains from that alone. And so he just did a week ago a video about this, and it was absolute validation for what I've been talking about for the last several months in the mastermind about going in local sites and pruning content away to get rid of potential competing pages because of over optimization, etc. If there are pages that are getting a bunch of impressions but never any click-throughs from search, are they providing value? Who are they helping? What is the purpose of the page? Now, if you're sending traffic to a page via social media, through paid ads, through email marketing, whatever, that's different because you're not going to see click activity from search in Search Console from sending traffic to a page. You have to look at analytics for that, right? If you look, so here's what I would recommend. You compare Search Console data and analytics data, and you can determine from specific page URLs that aren't getting any clicks from search, are they just still receiving traffic, either from internal clicks, like a click from an internal link, so somebody's already on the site and they click through to that page. That's not going to register in Search Console as a click from search. So look at analytics and compare and look at a particular page. When you've identified page URLs that are getting a lot of impressions in search but no clicks, then you can go look at that page URL in analytics and determine, is it getting traffic from external referral traffic, so email, social media, PPC, etc., or internal traffic from clicking links for somebody that's already on the site that had come at an entrance page was another page, and then they click through it. So if you're getting traffic on a page, it doesn't mean delete that page. But if you have page URLs that are getting a ton of impressions in Search Console and never any click-throughs, and then you go look at analytics and they never get any traffic, get rid of the page. What is the page? What purpose is the page serving? It's not, and it's hurting the site's performance in search right now. And if there's any backlinks built to it, just do a 301 redirect from that old page to a relevant page. That's it. But prune it, get rid of it. What is the purpose of it? And some of my clients were like butthurt when I told them that we were going to prune hundreds of posts from their site because they invested in all those years. And I said, well, look, that produced a performance gain in the past. Now it's causing a performance drop, right? It's hurting performance. So let's get rid of it. Do you want to keep the content on your site just for vanity's sake, or would you rather have more revenue coming in for more because you're generating more leads from search? The answer always is the second, right? They'd rather have more leads. So fine, let's prune the content. So we've gotten rid of a lot of work. It's kind of irritating too when we put so much work into that content over all those years and then we go and delete it. But it is what it is. Times have changed. So anyway, there it is right there. There's that video. Go watch it. Sites are recovering from health content update. Here's what they did. They pruned content from pages. By the way, the metrics that he talks about and the kind of thresholds, that's going to vary, guys. Remember, local projects are going to be different than a lot of types of project he works on. But I'd go check that video out if I were you. Okay. What can I do to get out of the sandbox? Again, I don't know because I don't know what's wrong with the domain. I got to move on, guys. Sorry. Got still a lot of questions to get through in only a few more minutes. Is there a good way to get entities? I thought I already answered that. Maybe I skipped one and went over. Oh, I must have. Excuse me. That was my fault. Moving on. Is topical authority not required for local SEO? No, I don't think it's required at all. I think that's overkill, and I think that's hurting local sites right now. Local sites should be, again, back to Chris. What Chris Cazzo said at SEO spring training this year was fucking amazing. I loved how he put it. It was so sometimes like Ted Kubitis with the GBP and self-hosted sites should provide agreement with each other. Cecilia said, reduce crawl resistance. I love that term. Chris Cazzo said, optimize for visitor intent. I love that. And it clicked with, as soon as I heard him say it, I was like, of course, optimize for visitor intent. Local sites should be optimized for visitor intent. Local sites shouldn't be topical authorities because every roofer, and a roofer in this city and a roofer in the next city, they both want to be topical authorities. It's hard to do. You can be a topical authority on a national level, but at a local level, like it's overkill. It's a lot of redundancy. And look, I could be wrong, but I don't think it's necessary to be a topical authority for a local site. That's not, people aren't going to a local, Joe's roofing company or whatever to find out all that there is to know about roof construction and roofing materials and all that kind of stuff. If you on a big affiliate site or something like that, fine. Or, a directory site, something like that, where it's going to be nationally, potentially generate traffic nationally, sure, topical authority makes sense. But for local sites, I don't think it's necessary. And I think it's overkill. And I think it's actually hurting the performance of local sites when you have too much content, which is what, to be a topical authority, that's what they tell you to do. Cover this topic from every fucking angle you can possibly conceive, and you're going to be a topical authority. But that's a lot of additional work that I found is hurting performance for local sites right now. It's better to just focus the pages on what would to be optimized for the visitor intent. The local client or local consumer lands on a local business website. They're typically looking for information about a very particular product or services that they're interested in purchasing. So satisfy that and skip all the fluff and everything else. At least that's according to what my testing is. Smaller sites that are more focused and are more efficient perform way better in local search right now. So I've been pruning content and reducing content to just the bare essence, and it seems to be working really well. So thoughts on SEO Power Suite, aka Link Assistant SEO software? I don't use it. The only thing that I use from that is Website Auditor. I love that. Website Auditor, I use this all the time. It was on AppSumo for like $69 a few weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, I guess. So I use Website Auditor all the time, but I don't like to use any of those other tools from SEO Power Suite, just so you know. How do you manage rank and rent and local citations if you don't have an address? Let's see. That's another question for you, Tim. I'm going to skip that one. Moving on. Greg says, do I need to use a proxy if I use Firefox to log in once to a non-branded? No, proxies aren't necessary anymore, man. It's about the browser, really. It's the browser session. So just create a branded, or click Chrome, scroll down to the bottom. If you don't, I've got a bunch of them, but click add profile, and then just log in, create a new Chrome profile, use a different Gmail if you want, and then just log into it there. I don't use, the only time we use proxies is for my VAs that are in other countries when they have to access my clients' accounts. Then we have them go through a US proxy through Go Login, which is a browser that we use with proxies. And that's the only reason why. You don't really need proxies for stuff like YOLO site and everything anymore. Just have a separate browsing session. That's all. Okay. We're almost out of time. So Adam, and if you got to go, feel free to go. There is a land flipping question that I do want to answer. I pulled some resources open for Roy.
Yeah,
but
real quick, I will have to take off. There's also a couple things you might want to check out in the chat before you hop off.
Okay, thanks, man. I'll check it out. I'm going to stay for a couple more minutes. So I'll come back to the land flipping question in a moment. So I do want to answer that for Roy because I have the answer for him. I've even prepared some stuff ahead of time for that question. So I'll save that for last so that you guys that are here for SEO can go elsewhere. Another question. I saw I saw in an email, Mateo's strategy. So that's Mateo probably from GMB Crush, on using YouTube geo playlists to boost local SEO. It involves creating video playlists that target specific service areas to improve map rankings and generate geo route references and citations. At least that's how I understand it. Have you come across this before? How does it work? And is it effective? No, I've not come across it before. How does it work? Well, I don't know because I haven't seen his training. Is it effective? It most likely is. And I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea, but just understand that, there are a lot of things. If you're in a really competitive industry, it might be worth doing that. But there are a lot of things that you can do that can move the needle. But is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, in other words, how much effort is it to build all that? And how much performance gain does it actually produce? If it's small gain, is it worth all the effort? I don't know. I know nothing about this strategy, so I can't comment on it. I'm just saying that there are things that you can do that produce marginal gains, but require a lot more time. I always look for the biggest levers that we can pull. That's why my full SEO audits are specifically address the four main components, according to me, and all the biggest elements, the biggest optimization points that have the highest leverage. In other words, they are the things that produce the biggest performance gains when done properly with the least amount of effort. I try to find the most efficient way to get results with local SEO right now. And so there is a ton of things that you can do that do produce some marginal gains, but a lot of them are work heavy. They're labor intensive. And so, again, I don't know this strategy because I've not seen specifically what it is. It seems like it could be a lot of work though, but I don't know because I don't really know. So I can't really comment on that. Last one, Ray says, how can I optimize my site for AI search? What are your recommendations? Can I do this with Schema? Schema will help. Peter Drew has a course called Fourth Mind. Let's see if we can find it. Peter Drew, the Fourth Mind, and he's got a podcast. He's got a product. There's a course and all that, and that's specifically for manipulating generative search. And so I would consider looking to fourthmind.ai right there. I would consider going to him because he's done a lot of testing with this and not me. But I know that it's right here, fourthmind.ai. I would go to him about that because he's done a lot of testing on this. I have not. So I don't really have any opinion on this yet, except that I would, if that was something I was going to pursue, I'd go to him for it, just to be clear. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to look in comments real quick, guys, and then I'm going to jump into the land flipping questions so that I can wrap it up for the day. So let me try to find comments, and there it is. Target pest control. Hey, Bradley and team, I know you focus mainly on local SEO, but what would your tactic be for a Shopify store that sells products in Canada online? I can't even answer that. I apologize. It's not that I'm trying to discredit your question or anything, or discount your question, I should say, but I don't do e-com stuff. And like, honestly, because I don't even know how to optimize an e-com site like on page. I just don't know how to do it. So, I mean, I could give you link recommendations because links are links, right? Like, as long as they're relevant, that should help. But I don't know how to provide any on-page optimization recommendations for e-com stuff. I don't do that, guys. I 100% stick to local SEO now, and I have no desire to learn any other kind of SEO at this point. I like local SEO. I've been doing it for a long time. I love working with one industry because it's so much easier to scale. So I can't really answer that question. I'm sorry, Target. Again, can't really help you with that one. Apologize. What's up, Will? Will the AI Answers webinar be recorded? Yes, of course, Will. They always are. What's up, James Slattery? What's up, buddy? It's good to see you, man. How do we submit questions? Go to semanticmastery.com/HDHO right there, as Adam commented. Casey says, I know of an online site that uses your own API instead of paying Bright Local. I've only used it a few times. I can drop a link if you like. Sure, Casey, please do. Go ahead and drop it. Casey says, I sent a friend request on Facebook just now. I'll DM you this link later. You can investigate and see if there's something you want to share. Keep popping up on people I might know. You keep popping up on people I might know. Okay, Casey, just so you know, I hate Facebook. I absolutely despise it. I try to stay off Facebook as much as possible. I pretty much ignore all friend requests, just so you know, because again, I hate Facebook. I have no desire to be on Facebook. The only time I go onto Facebook is to occasionally post something and to organize rides, ATV rides with riding buddies. Outside of that, I try to stay the hell off of Facebook. I can't stand it. So just to be clear, if I don't respond to your friend request, reach out to me via email, okay? Because or call me or schedule a Zoom meeting or a call with me. I'd rather talk to you than be on Facebook. I just absolutely hate Facebook. Fucking hate it. Okay. So I really have no desire to be on Facebook. And just for everybody out there that's ever sent me a friend request and I've ignored you, it's not you. It's Facebook. Okay. So don't take it personally. Casey, you can share that site uses a API for map grid tracking. Yeah. Yeah, please do. Make a free account. Okay, let's see. Yes, you go ahead, Casey. You can drop the thing, man. No sweat. That's no problem at all. If you're helping others, I'm not worried about it. Just drop the link. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, so I'm gonna answer this land flipping question, guys, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. So if you guys want to go, anybody that's not interested in that, feel free to jet to bounce, and we'll see you guys next week. Do have a mastermind webinar tomorrow, so anybody that's in the mastermind, be there or be square. So this one is from Roy. He says, hey, Bradley, I have a land flipping question. So I signed a sale agreement with a landowner early June this year for an infill lot in New Jersey. Yeah, I think we talked about this on Hump Day Hangouts before, Roy. So, and it says on the contract, it says that I have 6 months to close the deal. Right. That's standard. That's what I used, 180 days. The deadline of the sale agreement is approaching, and I haven't done anything as far as looking for a buyer, mostly because this is my first land flipping deal, and I'm not really sure how I should go about looking for a buyer and closing the deal. Well, you should have immediately started marketing that. That's, the moment you get the moment the ink dries on the contract, you should have it listed. And I don't mean listed with a realtor. I mean put up on no marketplace. You should be marketing the property the moment you have a signed agreement. Well, let me back up. Once you have a signed agreement, you should record an affidavit and memorandum concerning real estate. That is what is that? Here's an example of what this showed to you right here. This is an affidavit and a memorandum of agreement concerning real estate. This is a declaration that gets recorded at the county courthouse where the property is located. That is now an encumbrance on the title, the deed of the property. Basically, it's a declaration stating that you have a vested or an equitable interest, an equitable interest in the title of that property because you have a pending sale agreement. This is what protects you so that when you go to market the property, the seller can't then go sign another agreement with somebody else because some unscrupulous other investor, real estate investor, saw that you are flipping a property and contacted the owner directly and worked out another agreement and then undercut you. This is a cloud on the title. This is, again, a declaration that gets recorded at the courthouse that is recorded as a showing that you have equitable interest in the title of that property because you have a pending sale agreement. And it's only cost whatever cost for the recording fees. I think it's like $20 or whatever it is. And so first step number one, the moment I would get a contract signed, there was two steps that I would do. Number one is I would submit it for title search. So getting the title report done to make sure that the title's clean, transferable, all that kind of stuff. And then number two was always record an affidavit. And so and by the way, depending on the county that you're in, some of them are going to require a cover letter. So an example would be like, this is an affidavit cover sheet right here. And this was in Chesterfield County, Virginia, which is down near Richmond, Virginia. And so this is one of the affidavits that I had recorded on a property that I was flipping down there. And so what happens is it doesn't mean that the seller can't still sign another sale agreement with another investor or another buyer. They can, but when it goes to closing, when the title company or a settlement company goes to do a title search to prepare the closing documents for that deal, it will come up with now there's a cloud on this title, meaning the deed is not transferable until this is released. This affidavit is released. So then there's a release of affidavit document. Okay. So you'll see release of affidavit right here. This is a release of affidavit document. And so again, every time I would get a property under contract, I would record an affidavit immediately so that before I would market the property. Once I got the certificate back showing that it was recorded and the receipt back from the county courthouse. You can do it by manually going down to the courthouse, or you can do it via mail. I used to do it in person, but then I got smart, started doing it via mail. You just send them a return envelope with the affidavit and your payment, which is a cashier's check. You have to send them a cashier's check. It probably varies by county, but in the state of Virginia, that's how we did it. We would do an affidavit and send a cashier's check and a return address envelope that was prepaid, a return address or a stamped or whatever. And then once they recorded it, they would send it back to me, and then I would have a recorded affidavit. And I can give you an example of one that looks like that. Here. This one should be filled out. Yeah, this is a property that I had in Warren County, Virginia. So this is a completed affidavit. This one's not, this obviously was the document that then I took to a notary. But anyways, once you cloud the title, then you can market the property and you know that you're clear, because the only way to release an affidavit is you have to sign off on you have to authorize the release, which is what I was showing you just a minute ago. This is the release of affidavit, which means you are releasing any equitable interest in that title or that deed. That makes sense. And so I still, to this day, I haven't flipped any land. Last time I flipped a piece of property was, I think, in 2020, maybe 2021. I think maybe February 2021 was the last time I flipped a piece of land. And I still, to this day, occasionally get a call from a settlement company on one of the properties that I recorded an affidavit on that I never ended up closing on. And so they'll call me and say, hey, there's an affidavit recorded against this title, and we need to get a release because there's another buyer that wants to close it. I don't have any interest in that property at that point anymore. So all I do is then fill this out and then send it to the settlement company, and then they'll have that recorded just at the same time that they have the purchase and the new deed recorded. So in other words, this gets recorded first, and then immediately thereafter, the new deed would get recorded. Hopefully that's clear. So it's a way to kind of protect your self. And by the way, why do I know that? Because I had sellers undercut me and sell to other people. And so I started doing it. It is a standard operating procedure. Always record an affidavit. It's called clouding the title. You cloud the title as soon as you get it under contract. That way it protects you as the buyer. Okay. How would you recommend I look for a potential buyer for the land so that I can hopefully close this deal by the deadline? I thought about reaching out to realtors to see if they can help me find a buyer. Yeah, but you don't want to list it through a realtor because then you got to pay a listing fee and a buyer's fee. And not only that, but realtors will fuck a deal up in a heartbeat. They really will, especially land deals, because most realtors don't know what the hell they're doing because there's such a low barrier. By the way, it's very much like this SEO industry, right? In order to call yourself an SEO professional, all you have to do is declare it, right? You just declare to the world that you're an SEO professional, and now you can start a business. There's no barrier to entry. With real estate, all you have to do is go to a weekend course. You know what I mean? And then take some stupid test, and now you're a licensed real estate professional. A lot of realtors have no idea how to do creative financing deals or anything else, and land deals especially. They'll tell you, you can't do that. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. You know, and so why I say that is because, again, I wouldn't want to recommend listing it with a realtor, but you can use a service like this. I use this service a lot called Brokerlist, brokerlist.com. And I would do a $99 flat fee listing. So you pay 99 bucks, you get listed into the MLS, and then you agree to pay a buyer's agent whatever you want to pay him. You can pay him a flat fee, a percentage, whatever it is that you want to pay him. You can assign that in the listing and say, this is what I'm willing to pay a buyer's agent. But it is a self-listed into the MLS. Well, this company, Brokerlist, the guy that runs this is a real nice guy. He'll send you an email after, like, I mean, I've talked to him on the phone before, so he's a real nice dude. Anyways, 99 bucks, you get it listed in the MLS, and then that puts it into the pool for buyer's agents to then present it to their clients, if that makes sense. And then you can just pay the buyer's commission, the buyer's agent commission, instead of also paying a listing commission. Hopefully that's clear. All right. Do you want to market on Facebook? Yes, absolutely. Here's an example. These are, I just pulled this up to show you, marketplace. These are selling, just so you guys see, these are all the properties that I had listed on Facebook. And I sold a lot of them through just Facebook Marketplace. These are, look at all these properties. Most of these were sold through Facebook, or at least I marked them as sold once they were sold. The very first deal I ever did was this one right here. I made $15,965 in profit off this deal. And it took me less than 4 weeks to find a buyer and get it closed. No shit. It's the very first deal I ever did. I made almost just under $16,000 in profit on the very first deal I ever did. And it took me less than 30 days to find a buyer and get it closed. That was the very first one right there. That was in May of 2019. And so you can see that, again, I listed all, I don't know if you can go to my profile and see marketplace like selling and look at old listings, but you can see how I had those listings optimized. Let's see. View listing. That's what I was looking for. You can see, like, and originally I think they got better over time as I was doing it, but you can see, like, these are kind of the messaging that I would put in there. And so the one thing that you want to be aware of or be concerned or be careful about with, there it is right there. If you list on Facebook Marketplace, you're going to get a shit ton of, is this still available messages from people that have really no desire to ever buy it, and they will bug the shit out of you. So what I always did was, you can see, I just have in Google Keep Facebook canned marketplace canned response. And what I would do is because I had a listing site, like, in other words, a website where I would put the listing in more details, etc. Facebook was just a way to get people interested, and then I would send them a canned reply. If anybody sent me a message in Facebook Marketplace saying, hey, is this still available, whatever, I would literally copy this and paste it in and send it. And if they followed up with another question, I would send them the same damn thing again, because it says right here, if you have additional questions, please email me or provide me with your contact info. So if they kept replying in the Facebook Messenger or Facebook Marketplace Messenger with additional questions about the property, I just keep sending them the same thing over and over and over again. Because I tell them, like, I'm not communicating on Facebook. If you're serious, you will take the conversation off Facebook. And you call me or email me. Does that make sense? So I'm just telling you, because through experience, I learned you'll waste a ton of time with people that are going to ask you questions and waste your time that really have no interest in actually buying. And so, again, it's just a quick way to overcome that to be more efficient. Craigslist is a real pain in the ass. I don't recommend it unless you got somebody that does it for you. Facebook is a good place to do it. Brokerlist is another good place to do it. And then also there's things like LandWatch. It's another one you have to pay. But LandWatch is another really good one that you can market on. Land.com is another one. So these are all kind of sites that you can also market onto. But I found Facebook Marketplace and Brokerlist to be my two best resources for selling properties that I had under contract. Okay. Would anybody be able to find the listing owner of the land and reach out to the owner? Yeah, but it doesn't matter. If you have an affidavit, that protects it. It stops that sale dead in its tracks. When the closing agent starts to prepare the closing documents and they do a title search, they will see that there was a cloud on that title. Stop it dead in its tracks. And so then you can tell the seller at that point, sure, I'll release the affidavit for $1,000. I'll release the affidavit for $1,000. I've already got time and effort, sometimes money, put into this property because I had a signed agreement that the seller went around behind my back and signed another sale agreement with another buyer. And so, yes, I will release this affidavit for $1,500 or $2,000 or $500, whatever it is that you want to say, you can do that because you had equitable interest in that property with a signed agreement that was recorded in the courthouse that stated that you had an equitable interest in that property. So you could release it if and only if they're going to compensate you for what you would have made on the deal or what you had invested, et cetera. That makes sense. And by the way, I've had to sue people over properties and that's not fun. I'd rather just put the affidavit up and that's why I learned how to do that, by the way, because properties that I had put money into title search, survey, perk test, or soil, what they call feasibility studies. I put money into all that. And then the seller decided that they weren't going to sell it to me or that they found another buyer. And so I have ended up suing and I've won in court, small claims court against that. And all that does is put a judgment on that deed. So they can never sell the property, or if they ever sell, when they sell the property, that judgment has to be paid off from the proceeds of the sale, or else the deed can't transfer. Hopefully that makes sense. So I've got a couple of judgments out there right now that if the properties ever sell, I'll get paid for. But I may never see them too. So overall, I'm kind of at a loss at this point as far as moving my first land flipping deal forward. I know you had done the land flipping business for 2 years in the past and were successful with this business model. So I really appreciate your advice. I'm looking for this for a buyer for this land. Yeah, again, Brokerless, Facebook Marketplace, that's probably your best bet. I always found the most success with those two. Oh, and also Zillow. You can list on now, things might have changed. It's been a few years, but Zillow is also a really good resource. With Zillow, though, at least like I said, it's been several years. When I did it on Zillow, you had to have a phone number and you would have to answer the phone once you would submit the listing to Zillow. And then there's going to be an agent, like not a realtor, but somebody that works for Zillow will call you to confirm the details. And you have to answer the questions properly or else they won't approve the listing. Again, that may have changed. It's been a few years, but Zillow is also a really good resource for me to find buyers. So Brokerless, Zillow, and Facebook. Okay. Great questions. Good luck with that deal, man. But yeah, you shouldn't have sat on it for 3 months, man. You should have asked this question a long time ago. Reach out to me, man. You can always schedule. I might charge you for the time, but you can schedule a consultation call with me. I loved the land flipping business. I fucking loved it. I did. If it wouldn't have been for SEO and my commitment to my partners and my members of Semantic Mastery, I would have gone full time into that business. I really would have. So I could definitely help you, but yeah, you might have to buy some time from me, but just reach out to me, schedule a call. Right. All right, everybody, I got to go. Thanks.